Welcome to the third episode of the Hali Hewa Podcast with your host Abigael Kima. This podcast brings together key African players in the climate space, experts and activists who are doing amazing work in their unique capacities to share their stories and their experiences as they advocate for climate justice in their unique capacities. During COP, we'll be doing an episode every other day, interviewing people from all walks of life as the negotiations progress about what issues matter the most to them, and also allow them to share what they do back home and how we can support them. On this episode, we're joined by a beautiful guest. Her name is Helina Teklu, who is an architect, a graphic designer, environmental activist, and works on women empowerment. She's currently the CEO/co-founder of Seed Balls Ethiopia, a seed ball manufacturer that provides affordable, fast-growing, lightweight, and easily to make seed balls that will help increase farmers' productivity and reforestate the deforested parts of Ethiopia through Time Africa. She's also Earth Champion for Climate Change, climate reality leader, and blogger for Sunsilk Ethiopia. Welcome.
Thank you.
We're happy to have you today. So tell us more about your work. You're an architect, and then I'm thinking, how does environment come in? And yeah, we'd like to know more.
Oh, well, first of all, I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity. It means a lot. Africans by Africans.
Yes.
It's a lot. It's big. So this is a question that I usually get. How did an architect jump into environment? But mostly, like, the way architecture is perceived is just building a house.
Yeah.
But when you go in detail of what architecture is basically designing people's life.
Yeah.
And that includes the environment. So there's a section or a sector called sustainable architecture, where we learn about how to use bamboo, how to build a house by using nature-based solutions, how, like, mud, adobe brick, and there are different materials that you can use, solar panels, wind ventilation, and everything. So it's when I got into the university, I learned at Addis Ababa University. It's called AIBC. So when I learned there, it's when I developed the interest. Before that, I always were interested in the art sector. I wanted to be an actress and for a very long time.
Yeah.
But when I got into architecture, and architecture too, since I was a kid. But when I got into architecture, and the more I saw it by learning it there, I realized, wait, there's a huge problem here that I'm learning the solution for. But do other people know about it?
Yeah.
So that's how I stumbled into the environment. So I started developing more interest in it, and once I graduated, I just jumped into it.
Yeah. So, and why is this work important for you? Like, why would you want to have like a mix of architecture and include sustainability in it?
Yeah, so architecture, like, the beauty of architecture is there's, as I said, a field called sustainable architecture. So that's what I fully focused on.
Yeah.
So once I got out of the university, I took a year off because architecture is very exhausting.
Yeah.
You know, like, no sleep, 6 years, it's just too much. So I took a year off, and during that year, I never wanted to be hired by somebody. I always wanted to do my own thing. So during that 1 year, I started looking for, like, what is important to me, what should I do? And then I'm a YALI member, Young African Leaders, so I took the Understanding Climate Change course.
Yeah.
And once I took that is when I started understanding what climate change was. And in the middle of it all, I got a call from the US Embassy in Addis Ababa saying, come, the online certificates, take it in person, right? So I had nothing to do again, no job, no nothing. So I went there at the embassy, and when I went there is that everything opened up for me, because when I went there, I saw different projects. Like, as an architect, I would understand when a person says vertical plantation, when a person says solar panel, when a person says biogas and everything, because we learned those things. So it's right, and then I was like, okay, I know these things. How about, and I'm lucky enough to be at this embassy to witness this with other 15 people.
Yeah.
How about the rest of Africa? How about the rest of Ethiopia?
Yeah.
Who's going to see these projects? Is it going to be hidden at the embassy and everything? So that's when it hit me.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe I need to stop focusing on the project that I should be looking for, and maybe let me be the bridge so that I could actually expose the use and their projects because I had an access and I had a voice. So I decided to use that voice for the youth and to show their climate change adaptation and mitigation projects. So once I started doing that, I even learned a lot, like with climate change and everything. And the more I started working with the youth, the more I saw even bigger problems than what architecture had shown me. That is food insecurity, the effects of climate change, like the wind changing, the tsunamis, the waves and everything that's happening. So that's when I was like, okay, this is it for me. So I started working on that back then. That was on 2016. And then while I was working on that in 2016, I talked with the embassy. So we came up with this project called Climate Change Africa, because I didn't want to limit it to Ethiopia, because it's not only my problem, it's all of Africa's, all of the world's problem. So I named the company Climate Change Africa, and then we had an expo in 2016 and 17 in Ethiopia, where we brought government institutes, different NGOs, embassies, and the youth together. And we highlighted the youth, what they were doing. That's when everything started. And then and I wanted to make sure like every youth or youth that are working with me that have paper projects to be changed into reality. So that's what I worked on. And in 2017, I did that. 2018 too, I did an expo in Ethiopia. But in the middle of it all, by April 2018, I got introduced to the concept of seed balls by a friend of mine, an ex-friend of mine that lived in Germany. He was like, there's this technique called seed balls. They use it in Germany with recyclable papers. All over Europe and US, they use it. It's even kids play with it and everything. So the more I started researching on that, the more I was like, this is for me. Like, I'm always handling other people's projects, but then I was like, yep, this is for me, because I saw the impact that seed balls had. And once I started working on seed balls, and also in 2019, I took the expo to Kenya as well, because yes, the youth of Ethiopia are doing some things. How about Kenya? What are the youth doing? Because we have to come together at some point and work. So that's why we went to Kenya as well. And we did an expo. That's how I met Elizabeth as well, by the way. So she was one of the projects that came out and presented her projects, and we learned a lot from them. Hopefully they learned some things from us. And so by the next year, we're supposed to go to South Africa, but COVID hit. So this year, we'll do something about it.
Yeah, but that's amazing. I love the fact that you're putting other young people on a platform, and you're able to take them through actualizing their projects that are on paper. And I think that's so important. If as young people you can come together and uplift each other, that's amazing. So how has it been working with young people?
A bit headache, to be honest. It gives you sometimes, but the good thing about young people is we're very open. We're open-minded, or so to say. So what I do, for example, other than Climate Change Africa, is there's a project called STEM Power Ethiopia, or STEM Power, it's all over Africa. So for the Ethiopian, for example, I'm a mentor and coach for that. So I teach the youth also. I have their projects, their climate change projects, yes, but I teach them on how to change it into a business as well, because yes, you can do so many solutions. You can be an activist for the rest of your life, but you need money to survive as well. So I also teach that. Like, you bring your climate change project, I change it into a business for you. At least I show you the way on how to do it, and then you take care of it the rest.
Yeah, that's a good thing you're doing. So we're here at COP27. And there's a lot of conversations around it being an African COP, and people had very many definitions about what that actually means for them. And day one and day two, we had the World Leaders Summit that ended yesterday, and we had about 120 heads of state present, but I haven't quite had any announcement, especially on new nationally determined contributions, which is basically commitments to reduce their emissions. So I haven't had any major announcement around it, and any other thing that is significant to show new ambitious commitments. So what is that like for you?
I'm a bit disappointed, to be honest. Like, this is my first COP, right? So I expected some things. Because, for example, in Ethiopia, we are very strict when it comes to the climate movement that we're doing. We have a green legacy movement where we plant every year almost 2, 3, 4 billion trees. And so far we have planted 6 billion. We've even hit the world record, you know what I mean? And we're always focused on solar energies and everything. So me being there, just before I came here, I was like, yep, every country is going to do this. Even Ethiopia is going to talk. Like, something is going to happen. Something is coming, because I said it's an African Cup. Also, they say it's the implementation cup.
Yes.
So when I came here, I'm like, oh, finally, we're going to hear something. Because even I was asking some people prior, like, what did you do after COP26 in Glasgow? Many people are like, oh, nothing. We just went there, come back. So this year, I'm expecting something. And when I came here, and we were all, watching, like, what are they going to say? And it was nothing. So for me, I'm a little bit disappointed. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't have to wait for them. I don't have to wait, or we don't have to wait for them to say something. Why don't we show them that we can do the action, and then they can talk about it for us? So I'm a bit disappointed, but I stopped expecting. Thanks to this COP, I stopped expecting.
Yeah, and being that it's your first COP, how has your experience been so far?
It's very, very nice for me, because I'm lucky enough to have people like you, the whole foundation of Wangari Majaya, and Jodahi, also another Ethiopian that was here before. So he knows the experience, and through the foundation too, everything has become easier. And even before I came here, I knew the topics that I was going to focus on, like agriculture, youth employment, and nature-based solutions. So every time I go around, those are the 3 things I'm gunning for. But with agriculture, it's a bit confusing, because water is included in it and so many things. So those, sometimes it confuses me, like, where do I go? Or this is happening here, and this is happening here, this is happening there. I'm like, I want to be like on the 3 of them. Like, how do I clone myself in like a minute and just go there? But it's very exciting. It's very exciting. And I'm very happy to see African youth come together and be friends, be friendly. And from the conversation I had with different Africans, we have the same mind thought. Like, they're asking me, like, what are you doing in Ethiopia? And I'm asking them, what are you doing, for example, in Kenya? And they're like, oh, we did this, or we're doing this. And we talk like, so how do I bring it to your country? How do I bring it to my country? So that's a huge plus for me. And I'm extremely happy and a bit confused, but it's with everyone.
No, I don't think anyone can completely figure out the process. And I think it's really good that you like have a specific thing that you're focusing on, and I think it helps to just keep you grounded, because it can be a lot.
It can be a lot.
And also you've talked about having a community, which is so important. And same as you, I've had conversations with people, and I'm like, young people are doing so much.
Right?
It's like, for you to be here, you must have something back home. Like, you just can't be here and not do anything, because at the end of the day, like you said, a lot of times we don't get the outcomes that we actually want. And so you'd rather just go home and do your little thing that you can, because I feel like that is where change happens.
Exactly.
And so what as you've talked about agriculture, and I think in one of the conversations you expressed how disappointed you were, being that a lot of us Africans depend on rain-fed agriculture. Like, we practice agriculture as a main source of livelihood.
Exactly.
But being that this is an African COP, you'd expect agriculture to be such a hit, like an issue that should be elevated. But you said you haven't seen much of that. So
I mean, even like for Ethiopia, our GDP 42.6, if I'm not mistaken, and Kenya too, 40 point something is agriculture. Oh, that is like 80% of your economy is agriculture. And you can go all over, west, east, south, all over Africa. Agriculture has some play to play, to put it that way. So when I came here, I'm like, especially, when I came, I had my specific things. So one of the main things that I wanted was, because for Africans, it's hard for us to find research done by Africans about agriculture. So when I came here, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna find at least something that's being done by an African research-wise, or even somebody that will talk about agriculture. So when I went around, there are a few like booths or side events that are talking about agriculture, and the rest is like different topics, which is also important at the same point. But where's agriculture? And that's why I was asking you, like, where is it? Where is it? And then a funny thing happened yesterday. Like, I ran into Cornell University, and then again, as I said, I was looking for research. I couldn't find no African university here. Like, on the COP, there are like 2. So I first ran into Cornell, and I talked to them, like, do you guys have research and everything that's being done? And they're like, yeah, we have research done by agriculture in Africa, don't worry about it. Like, they said, email this person, he'll give you all the research so fast. I'm like, oh, thanks, I'll do that. So I had a hope, right? So then I ran into an African university. On the COP, I'm like, so where's the research? Like, so this Cornell told me there's some research that they did, and it's from the Western side.
Yeah.
I'm like, where is the African research? Like, how do I contact you? Where's the QR code? Really, like, is there any website? Yeah, something really, really, where is it? And he was like, oh, we only have like 10% of research done in agriculture. I'm like, why? And he's like, oh, because, the Westerns have done it. Why would you do it again? I'm like, and I had this conversation like 3 hours ago when I was waiting for you. I'm like, and what do you mean by this? Like, we're Africans, we should be doing our own research. Like, we can't do this. And so that's one new thing I've learned today. We don't have research. We do have research, but the research are not being done by us. And on the COP too, they're not talking about agriculture, and it's really annoying, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think data that is done by Africans in every other sector, like I've always been in meetings, you could be talking about energy and they'll say there's no African-based, well, it's African-based but not done by Africans.
Yeah.
So I don't know, are we at fault? Like, is it up? I don't know.
I don't know, like, I'm trying to figure it out. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to figure out, because if you go to your country, if I come to my country, you find so many researchers that are looking for a job.
Yeah.
And at the same time, there is no research.
Yeah.
So there's something missing there. And today I'm trying to figure out, like, what can we do? How can we come together and at least make our voices be heard?
Because I mean, we should be the ones knowing our own stuff.
Exactly.
Should be the one doing our own research, and now communicating that to the rest of the world. But it's the complete opposite.
Yeah, it's like I'm asking my mom about your behavior. She wouldn't know.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, and you've talked about seed balls and how you're using it to help farmers. So do you mind elaborating that?
Okay, so seed balls are marble-sized ball of clay, which are made up of different materials. In our case, we use soil and compost. If you go to Germany, they use recyclable paper. If you go to the US, they use recyclable paper / ice too. You can do it through that. If you go to Kenya, they use it by charcoal. So for me, I did it by soil and different composts and different type of soils. And so it's as I said, it's a marble-sized ball of clay. So it has 2 advantages. Seed balls, the seed is inside it, right? Any type of seed, flower, crops, vegetables, trees, anything works, as long as the seed is not expired.
Yeah.
So the advantage is 2. One is in the agribusiness. Like, for example, with seedlings, in order to incubate it, you have to do a greenhouse, dig 60 centimeters even to plant it, and then you wrap it with plastic.
Yeah.
So once it's planted, take out the plastic, throw it away, and you're helping here, but you're doing 100-year damage over there as well. So, which is not right. So this product of mine literally replaces seedlings. And there's no greenhouse process for it. When I give you the seed ball, it's already planted. All the ingredients that it needs is already there. So all you have to do is just put it on top of the soil and let it be. So within 1 meter square, for example, you can plant 20 different type of vegetables. So food insecurity, you can fight with a small land, but a huge product that you can get out of. And as I said, it saves time, energy, and money as well. No greenhouse, no nothing. Just put it on top of the soil, let it be. It's rainy season, you don't even need to water it. Like it will crack itself, and the product's called seed ball, but the technique is called seed bombing. So the soil will go to the floor to the rest of the soil, and then what happens is the seed, the moment it gets air and water, and just starts growing so fast.
Yeah.
So from my experience, I lived in the rural areas for this product for 4 years. No water, no nothing, right? So for spinach, for example, with seedlings, it took 4 months and something. With seed balls, it took 2 months to fully grow, cut it, and then grows back again. So food insecurity would be there. And even for farmers, it can increase their income. Instead of selling it one time within 4 months, they can sell it 2 times within and they can feed their family in a small amount of land. So, and even in a large agri sector, you can just put it and have sprinkler on it.
Yeah,
then you're done. Yeah. And the other advantage of it is it reforests different areas that are deforested, that are inaccessible. As I said, it's very lightweight, so you can use planes and drones to those areas, just drop it there with biodegradable materials, just put it, insert it on the soil. Yeah. So the biodegradable material will just degrade itself and you find the seed ball. So if it's a tree seed ball, for example, you just need to, like if it's rainy season, again, leave it. If it's not, for example, in our country, I'm talking with Ethiopian Airlines and the rest so that they could water it, or just with a drone, you can water it like 2-3 times a week for a maximum of 3 weeks. That's what you need to do. So, and then it will regrow. I mean, it will start growing, and it's nature taking care of nature. So the moment it starts growing, within 2 months, based on my experience, the tree have reached here. The trees that we planted, so it's very fast growing. So different deforested areas, we can reforest them, which means, in other words, we can reforest Africa and increase our forestry biodiversity.
Yeah, and I think, for example, Kenya, we have a target for a 10% tree cover. I'm not sure if we ever achieved it.
Actually, you guys started using seed balls with charcoal, so it will be achieved. And I'm coming too, you know.
Yes, bring it all. And so how can we find you, and how can we support your work? And if anyone wants to start up something similar in their own country, can they find support or consult you? They
can consult me because, as I said, in different countries we use different materials. We use what's available to us. So seed balls, it's all my advice for them is just search on what seed balls does and what you have available right there. Kenya, charcoal, and he has a reason for that, because charcoal cut tree and then you burn it and then it pollutes the air. So he's trying to eradicate charcoal from Kenya. I'm trying to not eradicate anything really, but reforest that. So yes, well, that's one thing the youth can do, and the support that I want is, there's always financial support, right? I'm not gonna go in detail on that, but yes, financial support is needed because I'm creating job opportunities, especially for women. So far, I've hired 5 women and 1 man, and they're producing seed balls. We produce around 1,000 seed balls per day. So it's a fast production that we're doing, but I want to expand it and create more job opportunities for that. So finance is there, but at the same time, the one focus that I'm doing right now is in Addis, for example. In Addis, I'm focusing on city farming. But I want to come to Nairobi. I want to go to Abuja. You know, I want to go to Cote d'Ivoire. I want to go to Pretoria and work on, and come to Egypt in Cairo and work on like vertical plantation and also provide the seed balls to Africa, because we need it. We're going through hunger. Seed ball is the solution. We're going through deforestation. We're going through drought. Seed ball is the solution. So I don't want seed ball to be limited to Ethiopia. I want it to expand, and that's the need I need. That's the hope I need.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing. There's so much to learn from you, and you speak so passionately about what you do. And I hope somehow we'll find support and still find ways to collaborate in the coming months, even after COP is over, because that is where we're all gonna go home and work. This is just a platform to meet and hopefully see if there's going to be any meaningful income. But yeah, let's get to work.
Let's go to work. Yes, I'm very happy, and thank you so much for having me. This means a lot.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very
honored to have you. And it's a wrap.
It's a wrap. Asante sana.